Yeah, we're gonna get along great. Hey, Ashley May here with The Big Fake Wedding, and today I am with Christa Norman of Christa Norman Photography, and she has been in the wedding industry for about 4 years now in the Southern California area, and she's actually just about to move her entire market to Japan. So she is moving across the world here pretty soon. But she has been an awesome entrepreneur and small business owner, and I think there might be a few of you out there in the same spot. And I think she can offer some wisdom and insight that you definitely will be able to glean from. So I have a few questions here for her today that hopefully you maybe have been asking yourself, and she's got some insight for you. So let's dive in. First question I have for all you fellow wedding photographers out there, Team Canon or Team Nikon?
I'm definitely Team Canon. However, I don't know, I'm not like, both make good cameras.
Yeah.
I'm like not super into all the tech.
Okay.
But I love my Canon. I love my Canon stuff. When I was like, I don't know, when I was like 17, I had a friend that had a 5D and he let me use it. And then that's what I ended up using.
From there on.
Yeah, because I knew how to use it. So
you started with a Canon, you
Yep.
stayed with a Canon, that's kind of how it goes.
Yeah.
So good, I love it. So you have come quite a ways, I'm sure, since you started on day one. So where can you look back on your career and see pivotal stepping stones that got you to where you are today?
Yeah, the first one that I would say is my internship that I had. I had it with Michelle Kim Photography. She is now retired from wedding photography to pursue acting. But Michelle, if you're watching, I love you. And the reason why that internship was so pivotal for me is because I got to work with her twice a week. I got to see how she edited. I got to see like all of her workflows, and I shot like every wedding with her.
Wow.
And so I just got to see, before I even really started shooting my own weddings, I got to see like how an actual wedding day unfolds, which is so vital. So by the time I was ready to start going out on my own and shooting my own weddings, I was already very comfortable with how a wedding day should look from a photographer's point of view.
I love that. Internships are so crucial and they're so beneficial.
Yeah.
I had an internship that absolutely shaped me in a completely different industry, but definitely worthwhile.
Yeah. So if you are a newer photographer, I would highly recommend going out and trying to find an internship. Often these aren't like people don't advertise them. Sometimes they do. Sometimes studios or photographers will have internship programs laid out. But when I interned for Michelle, I just emailed her. There wasn't anything posted. I just, a friend of a friend knew her, and so
And you just took the initiative.
Yeah, I took the initiative.
So good.
Yeah.
And look where you are now.
Yeah.
That was a good step. As we mentioned before, you are about to move across the world to Japan. So do you have any advice on growing your market in a new city, a new country?
Yes. Yeah, so there's a couple things. There's a lot of things. First, you have to decide what your priorities are.
Okay.
So for me, because I'm not just moving to another state, I'm not just moving to another city, I'm moving to a completely different country. Right. And so I had to decide what my priorities are. So moving to Japan, at first I was like, oh, well, I could do destination wedding photography, break into that market. I'm like near Hawaii and Tahiti and Bali and all these really great places. But then I had to realize, like, do I actually want to do I really want to do I want to be gone every weekend? I had to imagine like what would it be like and what I wanted out of this. And so I decided like that's not for me. So really, when you're moving to another place, you have to think about like what your priorities are. Are you going to fly back to where you're from? Are you trying to continue 2 different client pools? Those are things that you have to think about before you even start any sort of marketing thing. Like priorities number 1, because if you don't know where you want to go, like you're just like, you have to live on purpose, you know?
So good.
Not by accident. So that's the number 1 thing. The next thing I would say is start putting it everywhere. Put it on your website, put it in your Instagram, even before you move there, and like build your SEO, build the Instagram hashtags so that people can find you even before you're there. The next thing that I would recommend is connecting with local vendors. So like venues, coordinators, other vendors that you think that you're going to work really well with, so you can get into that network and have friends, even have a community when you move to this new place. The last thing that I would recommend for photographers to do is to start shooting in their location as much as possible. So I have a friend, her name is Jess. She's Cheers Babe photo. She's amazing. She lives in San Francisco, but her and her husband are looking to move down to LA in the next couple of years. And so she is prioritizing shooting in LA. So when she has weddings in LA, she's not just shooting that wedding, she's shooting engagement, she's shooting all these other things to build as much content as possible around that location so she can, build her clientele now before she's even moved down. And even when you get to this new location that you're moving to, shoot as much as possible when you get there. Shoot for free. I don't care who you are. I mean, maybe if you're like super big, you don't need to do that. But just building as much momentum as possible. Because what's happening is you've been building all this momentum, but when you move to a new location, all of that momentum kind of stops.
Right.
So you need to make those connections and build that SEO to continue to build momentum in this new place so that your business just like.
Right. Momentum means you're moving forward.
Yes.
You're thriving.
Yes.
That is so good. I never have even thought about that, but you're so right. Building up content in that location and in that same vibe and aesthetic and feel, content is king. So that's so crucial. I love that. That's such a great idea. Thanks. Yeah. So as I've known you personally and professionally, I know that your processes are so precious to you because your processes help make your clients feel so loved and cared for. So what is something that is so important, whether it's in your initial consultation or your follow-up, that is absolutely cannot go without doing?
Yeah, that would be just getting to know my clients. But not just like getting to know, making them feel like I want to know them and excited for them. So like in my first email, I'm asking them questions about them and their life, not just their wedding, but all of those things. And then at our potential client meeting, I'm asking them about them. I'm learning about their story because I want them to feel and know that I care for them. And getting to know their story will, one, help me serve them better, and two, will help me tell their story better.
So good. So insider info, Christa actually shot my wedding, my real wedding, and she absolutely made us feel so known from day one. I was actually living in Atlanta and she was living here in Southern California. And I know you normally love to grab coffee with your clients and just get to know them in kind of like a date way.
Yeah.
But she called me on the phone and we just talked for about an hour and she just literally just got to know me. And I didn't know that was happening, and all of a sudden an hour goes by and we were so much closer than when we started, and it felt so natural, and I didn't even realize how much I wanted that and how much I needed that throughout our process, and it definitely paid off on our wedding day. So in your years of experience as a wedding photographer, how do you know when you have found a bride or groom that is a perfect match for you?
That's a really good question. For me, it's almost always the brides that are excited about the same things as I am. And for me, that's like all of the personal details. So like I said before, in my initial email, I'll ask them questions about their wedding and their hopes and dreams for it, and like just their lives in general, how they met. And usually if a bride responds with a ton of detail and is like, we met this day and all of this stuff, like, if that's her answer, that is usually a bride that's a good fit
You're
for
like,
me.
we're gonna get along.
Yeah. And so for you, it might be something different. Maybe like you really love like creative, interesting weddings. And so in your initial email, you might ask more about like the color scheme, the design elements. And if they're like Ashley May and they respond with like a mood board for their wedding, which she did for mine, you're gonna be like so excited. So a way for you to know if a bride is a good fit for you is just if they're excited about the same things as you are.
Yeah, so good. Because it makes the whole process so much more fun.
Yeah. And then you know if you're a good fit, if you're gonna jive well together.
Yeah, all about the jive.
Yeah.
That was so good. Are there any final remarks you would want to share with other fellow entrepreneurs out there?
Yeah, I have two actually.
Okay.
The first one is that as photographers or just as wedding vendors, we are not the hero of this story.
Yeah.
The couple is the hero of the story, and we are the guide.
Yeah.
They are Harry Potter and we are Dumbledore. They are Frodo, and we are Gandalf.
This is like Joseph Campbell's A Hero's Journey. Are you familiar with that at all? You're the guide on the side, making sure that the hero gets their happy ending.
Exactly. And where things kind of go wrong sometimes is when vendors get that mixed up. They get that order wrong. And then that's when you start feeling jaded, and that's when you start complaining about your clients, and you start like just not loving your job, is when you have those things mixed. And your clients can feel that. And so in your mindset, in your marketing, you need to make sure that that perspective is correct.
So good.
The second thing that I would like to recommend and encourage you guys is to just keep going. Keep making those next steps. Keep shooting, do styled shoots, even though it might be scary if you're just starting out. You need to create the perception that you are always shooting. You want to create the perception that there is demand for your work, even if you're doing all of those shoots for free. That's how you create momentum, and that's how you move your business forward. And that's how you become a better photographer or a better coordinator.
Finessing your craft.
Yeah, exactly.
I read that the best entrepreneurs actually are the ones that just take the next step. 3 steps ahead may seem daunting and impossible at this point, but 1 step ahead is always tangible and always within reach. And that's what you've done to get where you are now. And you have had a thriving wedding industry presence in Southern California, and you're about to have an even bigger and better presence in Japan, no matter how scary it may seem. And you just absolutely shared some awesome wisdom and insight with us today. Hopefully it was helpful to you wherever you are on your entrepreneurial journey. Christa has been an awesome resource, and she has a blog with other fun resources, not only for couples and fun date night ideas, but also for fellow wedding photographers. So be sure to check that out. I will link it down below to her social platforms and website and all that jazz, so you can follow along with what she's doing and where she's moving in Japan, and see how she's living out all this insight that she just shared with you. If you haven't heard of us, we're the Big Fake Wedding, and you can check out an event coming to a city near you. So check out our website at www.thebigfakewedding.com to join a party near you. Thanks for watching.